I'm Mayor Manny Sid, and welcome to 305 Vox Populi. Again, we're powered by Miami Lakes Auto Mall. My main man, Fred Senra. Thank you, Fred. They're at 16600 Northwest 57th Avenue here in the town of Miami Lakes. You can call them at 305-455-3540. Today's food sponsor is Gaucho's Gourmet Market of Miami Lakes. The empanadas were amazing. The entire crew loved them. Eddie, I appreciate you, man. Thank you very much. 7357 Miami Lakes Drive.
Gauchos is lit.
100%.
So lit.
100%. 305-384-1334. And shout out to the best film production crew in the business, the Matter Lakes Bears. One time for those Matter Lakes Bears. But today's guest is the one and only Lucy Lopez.
And that's a download with Lucy Lo in 30 powerful seconds on Power 96.
Welcome, Lucy.
Thanks, Mayor Sid.
So I got to be honest, I love Lucy's energy. So couple years back, we're doing a basketball game against Doral, and we're going to organize a mayor's gala and all that. And I said, you know what? Yeah, it's cool that I MC it, but we need somebody who's going to take this to the next level, and got in contact with Lucy, told her what it was all about. She was like, look, what is it? We're going to raise money for the Special Needs Committee. She's like, I'm all about it. And let me tell you, she took that to the next level. People were rocking in the game, having a good old time.
So much fun.
I appreciate you, and thank you for taking the time today to be here with me, but more importantly, to talk to future generations.
Full disclosure, when Mayor Sid calls me, text messages me, it's not really him, it's Sosa. And when Sosa text messages me, this is a true story, and I shared it on air 2 days ago, and it's going to end up on a podcast on Power 96. I wait a full 5 days before I reply to him just to see how far I can take it with him and see if I could actually upset him. Not even close. That guy has so much patience with me. I don't know if he's like that with you. I don't know if he's like that with anybody else here in beautiful town of Miami Lakes. Pero Sosa, it literally brings me joy. When I get a text message from him, I'm like, I'm gonna wait 5 days. But yeah, so thank you. But the point of the story is, anytime you reach out to me, anything I can do for the town of Miami Lakes, I'm there. I love everybody here. As you know, all my friends live here. One of my friends happens to be a commissioner. Is that what Carlos Alvarez still does here?
He is. He's a councilman, and he's a great friend. He's my brother. He does a great job.
Carlos's heart for education and for community, it's like beyond. It's like the size of Earth. So, anything that I could do to help my friends and our community, I'm there. But you always get a pass because you ask me, and I'm like, yes, when? Tomorrow. Okay, I'll be there.
No, what's cool about Lucy, she's like, yo, Zog's coming with me.
Oh, always. Always. Which, by the way, at the end of this interview, I know I'm supposed to ask you a question. I have 4, and one of them involves Zog.
Got it.
So prepare yourself.
Got it. Sounds good. I'm looking forward to that. So you've been in the radio game for a while. You're a local product, inspiring folks, But what led you to become a radio host? What's that background? What inspired you? I mean, why do you do what you do? What's the why?
I love to make people laugh. I love it. But because I am a Cuban-American girl from Hialeah, my mom was like, tú vas a hacer stand-up, ni loca. Tú no, quédate aquí, quietecita ahí. So that played a major role in me not like picking up my bags and getting, leaving Miami. So I just really focused my energy on trying to find opportunities in the local entertainment industry. I happened to make a phone call into Power 96 defending Hialeah girls. And I had no idea that the director of the radio station at the time was in the room listening. And he literally yelled, "Don't hang up! Tell her not to hang up!" And I was like, okay, because I was arguing with the guys. The next day he called me. He was like, I really want to get to know you, blah, blah. And one thing led to another, and he put me on air. But at the time, I was a producer for Whammy on Miami. I was like an AP. And I
remember Whammy.
I would write for the kids show. And a lot of people don't know this, but so I graduated high school when I was 16. So at the time, I had a year gap where I wasn't allowed to go to Miami-Dade at the time. Like they were like, oh, you're too young. You have to wait until you're old enough to come here. It was like something weird like that. So I took like 6 months and I traveled. Because I didn't want to drive because I was scared of the Palmetto. I still am. And this is a true story, by the way. And I had all this, saved money. And instead of buying a car, I just traveled a lot. And one thing led to another. And, Power 96 gave me an opportunity. And I started doing a shift from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. And then I would sleep like 5 hours and then go to my regular 9 to 5 job, which was at Whammy in Miami. And that was kind of wild to say the least. I did that for like 4 months until the first staff meeting. And my director was like, hey, can you come in? We're having a staff meeting. And when they saw me and they saw how much weight I lost, because I was just like, I was hustling. I was like, I'm gonna make it. I'm not gonna eat. No lentejas for me, Mom. I gotta get to work. And I was basically just work, school, work, school, work. But it wasn't just one, it was like 2 different jobs, 2 different lanes, but with the same intention of just wanting to be a creative. Because I'm a writer, so.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I tell people all the time. You put positive energy in the air, out in the universe. It's gonna come back to you, and that's a perfect example. You've always been positive, so that's why you have those doors open. I think, right?
Thank you. Yeah, I totally think that. And I pray a lot. And
God is good. God is good.
Every day I thank God. Because it was like this. Director was like, "You're really funny. We're gonna give you a shot." And I was like, "All right." And I did that, and then after I did like 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Then they gave me the night show from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. That's where, in that part of my career, is when many local artists who are now like big time started to come up. So that's the Pretty Ricky era, the Pitbull era, the Rick Ross era, Flo Rida, Lady Gaga, all that kind of just like was happening during my career. I mean, I remember Lady Gaga walking into the studio and she had a tattered white wig, had a electric blue bodysuit. She climbed on top of my studio counter and she goes, "You need to listen to my song." And I'm like, "Let's listen to it." I was like, "Está loca." And I'm like, and she played Just Dance for me. And I walked out of the studio and I told my director, I was like, "If you don't play this effing song, we're going to miss the boat." And I played that song on the afternoon on my show like 5 times, one after the other. I just kept hitting rewind and playing it. That night she performed on the rooftop in some shop in Ball Harbor. And she invited me. And I was like, all right, I'll go. It's just some crazy girl from New York. And I remember seeing her perform and like the breath was taken out of me. It's only happened to me twice. Maybe 3 times with an artist, a different artist. It was the first time that ever happened to me was when I sat down and spoke to Mariah.
Okay.
The second time was when Kanye West was touring his College Dropout album, and he rapped his entire album live on Power 96. And the hotline was ringing, and my director's calling me. And the girl who would answer the phones, Laura, came in running. She's like, "You have to pick up the phone. The director's on the phone. He said you have to go to commercials." And I'm like, "Hello? What are you doing?" I'm like, "I can't hear you, bye." And I would hang up.
Yeah, you got to keep playing Kanye.
I just let him rap his entire album live on the radio. And then the third time that ever happened to me was when I saw her perform. And she was just very known in the club circuit. She wasn't who she is obviously now. She was just like club circuit. This was like barely MySpace. And so that was really cool. I remember just like looking at her and going, "Oh, wow. This is like, she's like not even like Madonna. She's something else."
No, you got Mariah, Lady Gaga, and Kanye. That's really great company.
It was dope. It was dope to see all those people all have this thirst. There's a thirst when you really want something, when you really, 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 really want something. It's like you could taste it. It's not. I can't explain it. It's like mystical. It's you're like, I'm gonna get this. This is gonna happen. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna do this. And when you meet people like that in this industry that I'm in, you see it right away. And those are characteristics I saw in those three major celebrities that I'll never forget. Because even with Mariah, she was already Mariah Carey. And you could still see the hustle in her wanting to impress me with her music. And that's the difference between an artist and a celebrity.
So knowing what you know today, because obviously there's, I mean, just what you shared right now, that tidbit, that's amazing. But knowing what you know today, what's the one thing that you wish you would have known when you started your career?
Oh, I wish I would have believed in myself more. I wish that I wasn't so afraid to be the woman that I am today. Growing up in Dade County, it can kind of be tricky because I feel that there's sometimes a sense of elitism and like this socioeconomic kind of, if you're not from this tier, we don't really talk to you and we won't give you the time of day. And, I'm very proud to say that I'm from Hialeah. But growing up in Hialeah and then going to college at Dade North and trying to land these jobs, you were kind of told, don't put in your resume that you're from Hialeah because that'll lessen your chances of getting a job. And I wish I wish that I didn't believe that early on in my career. I was very quiet about where I was from. I was proud of being from Hialeah. I was proud, that I live off of 45th and 8th, and my neighborhood was called the Rat Trap. I was proud that I had to take a bus to school. I was proud of my parents who busted their tails for me to go to Monsignor Edward Pace High School, but there was a stigma attached to being from Hialeah that was very difficult for me, not just to land work and to further my career, but it was hard to get on the radio the first 2 years of my career and have people call the radio station and tell me, your accent, ugh, get off the radio. You don't even know how to speak English. And it was very difficult, yet it was very empowering at the same time, because I would just turn that into a joke. And I would be like, what accent are you talking about? And I would even put it on thicker for them. And that takes thick skin, and it also takes creativity. Because now I'm turning what you think is tough or horrible into a character. And that's where my character Chula comes from. It's me poking fun at those who don't even realize that they have an accent themselves.
No, I feel you. I went through the same thing when I wanted to run for office. I'll never forget this conversation. I had one gentleman, very powerful individual at the time, who said, there's no way you can get elected. The way you speak, you're too Miami, you're too Hialeah. And I'm like, but what does that mean? You know what I mean?
I had no idea what that meant.
And lo and behold, I become the mayor, change it. You know what I mean? We embrace where we come from. And that's
right.
The speaker last week told us, one of the things for us to understand the rest of the world, we got to embrace where we're from and what we're about. So I don't run away from it. I was like, look, instead of getting upset about that or sharing it with the world, I said, you know what? I'm going to take these folks on. And ultimately we won. And talking about your roots, in your words, what does a 305 mean to you?
Like being from 305 or the 305? So to me, I don't think my answer is going to be a popular one, but we live in a bubble. The 305 is a bubble. I want everyone to understand that there is nothing like our area code anywhere else. I lived in California for a year, and I hated it so much It was the worst experience ever, because as soon as I spoke Spanish, oh, are you Mexican? Are you from Guatemala? And not that that was insulting to me, but I'll be like, no, I'm Cuban. And they're like, oh, like Elian Gonzalez Cuban? Oh, like Scarface Cuban? And it's like, I guess so. I mean, if that's the only Cuban person you know, I feel super sorry for you. There's this guy named Pitbull. I don't know if you know him. And that experience, I wish everybody children, kids, high school kids, could really leave the 305 for like 6 months and then come back. And I say that with love in my heart, so you know what to appreciate. Because our melting pot is like no other. I always say, like, there's a bunch of Caribbean people here, but like it's every shade. It's every shade of Caribbean. It's not just one shade of Cuban in our town. There's not just one shade of African American. We have Jamaican, we have Haitian, we have people from Belize that live here. We have everything here in South Florida in the 305 and more. And I wish that people would understand that, you know? So when there are issues that affect us on a national level, we understand why other people feel the same way, feel a certain way, and why their hearts bleed for different causes that perhaps your heart or my heart. I mean, we understand. We're compassionate. I know you're an empath like me. You feel for people, but you and I will never know what it's like to be discriminated against. You know what I mean? And I wish the people of the 305 really understood that. And I think if we all did collectively, we would strive to be a better community together and embrace each other in a different way.
Yeah, we got to walk in other people's shoes and see the world through their eyes. Sarah Sidner, who's a very good friend of mine, a lot of people don't know that she's from Miami Lakes. She's one of the top reporters in the world, right? She's in CNN. She came by the other day, her and I, we had coffee, and she explained the same thing you just hit on the head. Like, when she left Miami, like a lot of the Miami stuff, like saying, for us, is like nobody else says that. You know what I mean? And she was like, hit it exactly on the head with what you said, and it's 100% true. And it went back to our conversation earlier when we were talking about Biggie and how Valletta Wallace would send Biggie. They would go to Jamaica. She would save up. But when Biggie came back from Jamaica after spending the summer in Jamaica, he'd come back like a sponge. And I think that's what you're telling the kids here. Hey, go experience the rest of the world. Come back.
You really need to. Because what happens is that when you come back from that, you're going to come back to your town, your street, whatever block you lived on, and either you're going to buy it back from the Starbucks, or you're going to invest in what our future deserves, what our community's future deserves. That's why, everybody's like, oh, Miami Tech, Miami Tech, Miami Tech, bringing tech to Miami, bringing tech to Miami. And I'm all about that. Yeah, man. Opportunity, business, growth, opportunities for like this young gentleman here who's going to Stanford. That's awesome. But when when Stanford comes back here to Miami, is he gonna be asked to get, to join the team here? Is he gonna have a job waiting for him here? Or are you gonna bring somebody from New York and California to fill his shoes that he can totally do, and not just do it just as good as somebody you're gonna bring from California or New York, but knows the market, is a hometown, because at this point, anybody who gets accepted to Stanford is a hometown hero, all right? Are you going to give him the opportunity? Are you going to give Sophia an opportunity, Sabrina, Micah? Who are you going to give the opportunity to? Because all this talk of coming to the 305 and we're going to do this and we're going to do that and this and this. Okay, but what are you going to do for the students in the community who are working and are striving to be in that industry? Is that 10 minutes or 10 seconds?
We'll go a little bit longer today. So
are we sure?
Yeah.
What's going on?
It's all good.
I got scared. Am I getting kicked out? You guys, I haven't even had an empanada. I'm supposed to go to Vicky Bakery in a few minutes to pick up my sister a cappuccino.
We're waiving the rules. We'll go a little bit longer.
All right, so real quick, I can go on and on. What are they saying? Anybody? Marker? Where's the script writer?
Wait, but you know what? Real quick, and I'm gonna pivot real quick because you're incredibly bold, and I think we need more of that. have you ever gotten nervous? I mean, as
Yes.
bold as you are.
Yes. Do you know when I get nervous? When you ask me to host galas. That's not my crowd. They are my crowd. I get it. They listen to us, thankfully, but that's not my crowd. And I'm like, oh my God, this is too much. That's when I get nervous. But interviews and stuff like, I don't really get nervous. I get nervous in front of people. Like if I have to host a party or host a gala or be in front of a crowd, a concert crowd, my heart's like here, kang, 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 kang. Yeah, I can't handle it. I was saying something and I wanted everybody to hear it. Now I can't remember. Anybody remember what I was saying? Come on, Sophia. Really?
Well, we'll go to this quick question and
Go ahead.
What any misconceptions about your industry that you wanna kind of put out there?
Yes.
Okay.
So happy you asked that.
All right.
Thanks, Mayor.
Well, these questions are written by
I know.
our
The
amazing
team.
producers.
So a lot of people think that radio is dead. So here's the thing with radio. Radio is not dead. And I'm going to explain to you why it's not dead. What radio continues to do is evolve. And everything that you guys are doing, even down to a podcast, the root of it is radio. The awesome thing about working at Power 96 is that I'm constantly like being fed information. I'm learning, not just from my co-host and my team, but the community. And there are two things that people in South Florida do when the S hits the fan, right? When there's hurricane season and it's blown through our community and we're all like, oh my God, the world's gonna end. One of the things our people do is, number one, tune into the radio to make sure everything is okay. And then they go to Channel 7. But I need you to understand that the amount of work that goes into a radio show is like unbelievable. It is, I'm wearing so many hats right now that it's just like, it's difficult because you're like, I'm doing social media, I'm producing the show, I'm writing the show, I'm coming up with guests, and by writing the show, it's legit like, this is what we're going to talk about and this is how I'm going to start. I want you to go here and then I'm going to hit it with this. And this is happening, and a lot of people think you just walk in and you turn on the mic and you start talking. Like, I did some preparation before I walked into this room because I want to make sure that I'm clear on what I say. I want to make sure that I, articulate myself as best as possible to the audience. And when you wake up at 3:30 in the morning and you got a show that starts at 6 a.m., you got to be, it's no joke. It is seriously hard work. And you have to feel a vibe and you have to know what everybody's talking about. And you have to know a little bit about everything from, the latest message from the president is to what's happening in Miami to, a video I just got tagged on by some kids in South Miami-Dade High. There's everything. I know a little bit about everything, like the top stories this morning were this. Oh, and there's also all this that's happening. There's a lot of work that goes into radio. And sometimes, obviously we're going to get overshadowed by social media. We're going to get overshadowed by obviously TV, and you have so many options to choose from. But the best thing about radio is that it's local and it's live and it's happening right then and there. So
what are your future aspirations? Because I think you got the skill sets to kind of have a national radio show, international.
Oh my
I think.
Are you reading my diary?
I talked to Enrique Santos, a good friend of mine, but I think you blow him out of the water.
No, don't say that. Enrique Santos. He's a great talent. He's so talented.
He is.
He's so talented.
But I'll be honest with you. I think you're at that level.
Thank you.
I see the grind. You talked about it earlier, where Lady Gaga, Mariah Carey, Kanye, what they had, kind of saying, "Yo, we're gonna get there."
Yeah.
And I kind of see that.
Thank you.
That talent. And what do you see yourself in any future aspirations or?
Yeah, I'm currently writing a couple of scripts that I want to pitch to Netflix. I have ideas. I've been approached by a couple of networks, and I'm just working quietly in my house right after my show. And I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't like to put timelines on things. I'm a writer, so I just blindly write. maintain my social media status. There's certain things that I present on my social media that are of what I'm writing, but nobody knows that. Um, I want to be I'm a writer. I want to create. I want to somehow make a series that will either be on, I have aspirations of like Disney Plus streaming and Paramount Plus and Netflix and, HBO Max. Like that's where my head is at. And I want to create a series, and I want to put Hialeah and Miami Lakes on the map in a different way. I really do.
If I think anybody can do it, is you, and I'm 100% you're gonna
I'm
get
going
there.
to hire Enrique Santos to be the star of the show, obviously, so I can have people watch.
Enrique, we got you. We got you. Any questions for me? We'll bounce back.
Is this the part where I get to ask a question, kids? Can I get a yeah? Yeah. Nobody gets lunch today.
No gaucho.
Penitencia. Yeah. So here's a question for you. You're a mayor. I know you like on like a personal level and not a personal level, have incredible respect for you. I wanted to ask you, as mayor, how do you handle like real life trolls? Because I feel that your level of being trolled is way bigger than for me or anybody else. You're in office, you're an elected official. How do you handle trolls?
So I'll share with you a couple stories. But when I first got elected in 2012, I was 28, 29 years old. I was all excited. I was a city councilman. I got elected into a minority, so I didn't. I was on a. It was a 4-3 vote a lot of times. So I said, hey, something common sense for me. Hey, let's start live streaming our city council meetings. Let's be transparent. Obviously, the folks at the time, they didn't want to be transparent. So I put it on the agenda, and this was my first meeting ever. And I had a boatload of people show up online, everywhere, and just trash me.
Destroy you.
Just saying, and I remember leaving that meeting, and I was like, what did I get myself? Like, what is this? I don't even know these folks. How can somebody who doesn't know you, never took the time to talk to you, even do that? And at first it bothered me, right? But after about a year, I said, you know what? You can't allow people to steal your joy of serving others. And I've gotten to a point that it comes with the territory. I don't put any energy towards that, because I think the moment that you expend any energy, that's energy you're taking away from doing good. So I've literally gotten to a point that it's important. We listen to people, but I don't spend any time responding or even entertaining trolls, because if you do that, you're doing a disservice to your community. And I'll give you an example. Last election, I was bombarded by trolls everywhere. I mean, coming to meetings. I mean, I would tell them, hey, why don't you meet with me? And they refused. But a lot of folks didn't want to sit down and talk. But I said, let's show what we're doing in the town. When we polled and we did us 2 surveys in the town, our approval rating was the highest ever. It was at 87%. Like, that's unheard of. I mean, the governor has like 40 something. No matter who the president is, has 50, the highest.
Sure.
So we were like, look, we're doing the right thing. So, and that's where I tell my colleagues, the other trick to it, you can't seek consensus. The moment you seek consensus, you never find it, you lose. And that's when you allow trolls or whatever you want to call them to win. You got to mold consensus. You got to have beliefs. You got to believe in something. And that's, at that point, you mold consensus. If you never get there, you never get there. But at the end of the day, don't seek it, mold it, and don't allow anyone to steal your joy of serving others. It's not easy, but once you start doing that, you start becoming very comfortable in your position, making decisions that no matter what decision you're going to make, you're never going to have 100% of the people.
So I know that we're both, we love to serve our community. I'm kind of a politics junkie on the DL. And one of the greatest conversations I ever had with you, and I've quoted you a bunch of times, where I called you and I'm like, what the world does that think? What am I going to do? And you said to me, I want you to get all that energy and focus it on local government. I want you to get all of that you're feeling and focus on what's happening in your backyard. Because whatever happens in the White House is not going to affect you tomorrow as you're driving down the Palmetto. But the guy that you put in a chair, in commissioner's chair is going to affect what the roads look like on the Palmetto. And I'll never forget that. I'll never, ever, ever forget that conversation we had. I thought it was not only like comforting, but you just like, you rocked that. That was like perfect. How many friends do you currently have that are on the complete opposite political spectrum that you are? And how do you maintain your relationships with them?
Well, my partners at my business, at the restaurant, they are completely different a wavelength and on certain issues. But I think one of the greatest classes that I took at Pace, and what it really taught me was
theology with Mr. Masters.
Yes, 100%.
The best.
And I'll tell you why. He required us to go visit not different Christian denominations. No. He required us to go to different religions.
Yep.
So I went to the mosque. I went to Hare Krishna. I went to the Jehovah's Witness. I went to, you name it. And part of that exercise was for us to participate in a service, not focus on our differences, but build bridges, focus on what brings us together. And that's something, that class, believe it or not, it is, even with college, it's probably the best class I've ever taken. So today, that's what I try to do. Even when in what I do every day, I get folks that come in from every single walk of life. You try to avoid any hot button issues, right? No, hot button issues, you're not.
Yeah. I get that. I'm talking about your friends' friends. I'm talking about people who know you, who know your wife, who know your kids, who know the color of the inside of your bedroom.
I'm a Republican, and I have a lot of very close Democratic friends, and yeah, it never turns into national politics, and I'll be honest, I rarely ever. You look at my social media, talk about national politics, because the moment that you put an R or D, you immediately divide half of the population.
So with your personal friends that are on on the opposite end of the political spectrum that you are, you maintain a relationship by avoiding hot topics?
Well, there's no need to talk about national politics, right?
You don't want to?
I never do.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. And it goes back to all politics is local. What's the point of me defending, just say, the Republican nominee or the Democratic nominee? They're never going to come defend me.
They're never going to come to defend you.
So that is one of the rules that I made. I don't defend people who don't defend me, right?
Okay.
Like, why am I going to expend time? Someone who doesn't even know me, who doesn't care to know me. So that's where I even tell my friends, hey, look, on both sides of the aisle, we're all fighting. There's a food fight all over the place, fighting for folks who don't even know who you are. Who don't, sometimes maybe they don't even care who you are. You know what I mean? And people you're seeing families being divided because of it. So I'm like, I don't even talk national politics.
Okay, last question. Promise you. It might be the last one. Nobody kill me over there. Last question. What are you doing actively, like right now, to squash this like silly underlying BS feeling that there's a big difference between the person who lives in Hialeah and the person who lives in Miami Lakes? That whole nonsense that people start up on social media. What do you do about that? Do you even get involved? Do you even care?
Well, what I do is what I do every day. When people look at me, it's funny because when folks start talking about it and then they interview me, they're like, yo, this guy, like,
I know.
You know what I mean? It's like he represents the whole, he is the whole area. He's representative of the whole area. So I think the example that I give out to folks, like Carlos Alvarez, who sits on my on the city council with me, he's the principal of the City Hialeah's charter school.
One of the best.
100%.
Cohia. Bulldogs.
And so I'm a big believer in you control what you can, but also through your work, you become that example. So literally, like it happened when Carlos Hernandez, the mayor of Hialeah, was talking a bunch of junk about the town, I got a bunch of reporters that showed up. All the reporters immediately, when they put the camera on me, and they realized that I was a mayor, because sometimes at first when they show up, they're like, "Hey, ¿dónde está el alcalde? Where's the mayor? We need to." And I'm like,
¿Dónde está el alcalde?
I'm right here.
Right here, hi,
And
papa.
so they immediately talk, and they're like, "What is he?"
Right.
Just by the example that I give
Right.
out, like, what is he talking about? So
Right.
I think just by doing what I do every day, I'm pretty representative of Northwest Dade overall. Probably better representation than most of the folks. I think just.
Yeah.
But
Can I say that? I'll say it. He does.
But yeah, that's I.
Well, you're an innovator. You think outside the box big time. And you're inclusive. And everybody knows anyone who's intelligent includes. One last question and I'm out. DJ Zog wants to challenge you to a one-on-one basketball game.
Okay.
He was hoping that you guys have basketball courts at your school.
They got a brand new gym.
He was hoping that he can challenge you one-on-one basketball. But I want to attach charities to it. And I want to invite other people. Can we make this happen before the year ends?
100%.
Or is like COVID?
But you think Zog is ready?
Oh!
I'll be real. I just don't.
When I brought this up to him, he goes, "Don't do that. Don't ask him that because he's really good at basketball, bro."
I'm in.
Yeah? Will you do it? Can we do this? Can we do like a celebrity or a fake celebrity? Zog is not a celebrity. I am. But let's talk about that. Let's make that happen. Can we get Sosa on this? Sosa!
So I'll start. I love Joseph. I'm successful today in what I do because of the hard work that Joseph puts in.
Sosa.
Sosa's the man.
Sosa's the man.
Sosa's the man. But I'm in. Count me in.
You're down?
Against Zog. Yeah. And talking about Zog, real quick, to close this out.
Go. Give it to me.
One of the questions that our producers had submitted was about Zog, yours and Zog, the radio. Talk to us about the behind the scenes.
It's insane.
Okay.
I want you kids to know you have more people in this room than Zog and I do. Do you want to know how many people are in the room with us every morning? It's just me and Zog. It's just me and Zog. Everything you hear, everything you see, everything Power 96 from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. is me and Zog. All of it. We don't have producers. I don't have a social media coordinator. I don't have an audio engineer in there. Zog runs the board. We both edit. We do all the edits. We do all the production. I don't have anybody editing my endorsements. I record everything in the studio and edit everything on Adobe at home. All the social media is me. All the graphics is me. We don't have anybody in the room. So we're on from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. We have an hour that I like to call the Hollywood hour because we're it's like this. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. We once had a guest, I'm not going to say who it was in there. And he literally looked at us and goes, "This is crazy. Like, how are you guys pulling this off?" My favorite thing about Zog is that if I'm going 100, he's going 110. My favorite thing about Zog is he's so woke in the sense of like, I don't intimidate him. He doesn't intimidate me. We're both at the same intellectual level. We both love to eat expensive food. But Zog and I are very, very different when it comes to social matters. I'll be over here and he'll be over here. But at the end of the day, the amount of respect we have for each other will overshadow that like you have no idea. One of the best things that has happened to my career has been DJ Zog. Because he's allowed me to flourish and allowed me to be who I am on the radio every morning without jealousy, without rencor, like just really lets me be me and be like crazy and do my voices and, pretend I'm Beyonce for an entire break on the radio. And he's like, "Oh, Beyonce's here." I'm like, "Hello, DJ Zog." So he's like he'll eat that up. Like he's like, "Go, just go."
Yeah, I know that.
And that takes certain kind of cabeza. Some people get intimidated by that. He's not. And he's a master of what he does because Zog also is one of those guys that like will listen to a song for 6 seconds and go, "Damn it, that's a hit." Well, what's his name? I don't know. Rit Momney. That's his name. I'm like the guy in the way. He goes, yeah, that guy. But he changed the letters, and it's a freaking smash. And it annoys him because he loves Peter Cetera. Listen, I gotta go.
I appreciate you, Lucy. And we're gonna do something different today. To sign off, it's your show. You sign us off. Say
What do I
about
say?
it.
What's say?
It's
Vox
Populi 305,
Populi.
voice of the people. Do you? I want you to be as creative. Showcase how.
Oh gosh, I'm on the spot.
No. You do.
Do I sign off?
Whatever, however you want to do it. This is your show.
All right, here we go. What episode is it? 7? Okay. Don't fall asleep, Sabrina. Not now. Okay. Oh, in there. Okay. Okay.
You need some music? No?
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Here we go. Hey, Miami Lakes. That was episode 7 on Vox Populi, the podcast with Mayor Manny Sid. I'm your girl, Lucy Lopez. And stuff. That's it. Is that what you guys wanted? No? Wait. Let's see. Let's do another one.
So I think that this will be the clip that we use as a preview, right?
Here we go. Okay, here we go. That was episode 7 of Vox Populi with me, Lucy Lopez, and some mayor. Whatevs. What else? Wait, one more. I have one more. Let's do 3. Didn't you learn anything from my lessons? Vox Populi, where their mayor is a really nice guy. No? Okay. That's it. I'm wrapping it up. You need to wrap it up. You have to be the serious guy. Are we thanking Miami Lakes Auto Mall?
100%.
Thank you, Miami Lakes Auto Mall and Gauchos. Who else?
And the Matter Lakes Bears.
And the Matter Lakes Bears. Anybody else?
Hey.
I used to date a guy named Frank. Never mind. Bye, guys.
Got it. We'll see you next week. Wednesday, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Take care.